If you're looking to make a change to get improved performance, improve your sleep, and help you with your weight loss journey, try Optimum Day and Night. Make a change as soon as you can.
And that's exactly why I'm so excited to tell you that Optimum Day and Night has had a major upgrade. And these have been a real game changer in my health journey. Optimum Day helps your metabolism burn throughout the day, and Optimum Night helps you get a really good sleep throughout the night.
And here's some real life proof on screen right now. Both Robbie and Michael Owen teamed up with Oxford Natural for their wellness journey, and you can see the results for yourself.
And remember, the supplements don't replace a healthy lifestyle, they support it. So if you're looking to make a change, click that link in the description below or scan the QR code on screen and get 70% off your first order today. Talk about James Maddison, because there has been an update from Mike McGrath saying that James Maddison needed checks on a knock sustained in Tottenham's defeat to Brentford. The 29-year-old fell awkwardly on his shoulder after coming on as he stepped up his comeback. But there is hope that he'll still be involved for the game this weekend against Newcastle. Forever having knocks, James Maddison.
I mean, it doesn't surprise me. We've kind of always said when come back, and Maddison said it himself, when you're coming back from an ACL, it's not just the ACL you're coming back from, you have to recover from. There's always little niggling injuries that happen. We've seen it with many other players. You look at Rodri, Maddison gave that example last year of Rodri coming back from the ACL, and when he did come back, you know, he was out for a few games here, a few games there, while his body kind of adjusts to returning to professional football, which is kind of expected. It is frustrating, no doubt about it, especially for Maddison and also for us, because we're desperate to see him back on the pitch, and we got little kind of flickers of light with Maddison's cameo against Brentford. Nothing too kind of special, but we just saw little flickers of, you know, him getting in those positions, him twisting and turning, looking a little bit sharper. So if he's now picked up another injury, obviously it is very frustrating. And I think coming into this season with him and Decky as two of our attacking options that we're looking to rely on, obviously that is a massive concern, because we don't really know how much we can rely on them and how much they are going to be fit and available. And him picking up another injury, considering in pre-season he also wasn't able to play much because of injuries he had sustained. It is worrying and concerning and frustrating, but not unexpected.
And in the nature that he plays as well, he's always susceptible to pick up something, because he's always taking on men, drawing fouls. I mean, the year before, I think he drew the most fouls in the Premier League. So that's just the nature of how he plays. And on top of that, he's just an injury-prone player anyway. Even before the ACL. So, look, we need to get him back on the pitch, because we've spoken about it so many times about Conor Gallagher. We can't be seeing Conor Gallagher in the 10 for the foreseeable future. So him or Mohamed Kudus need to get back on the pitch from the start, because that's going to really impact our play.
I don't like, though, what I see sometimes from Tottenham fans on social media in response to news like this, in the sense that there seems to be like an overly harsh, mean-spirited response sometimes. Oh, he's finished, get rid, can't, you know, all these kind of things. And I understand the frustration from our part as fans that, you know, we are stuck watching Conor Gallagher a lot of the time because of these things happening. But the guy had an ACL last season. We're going to have to be a bit patient. We're going to have to, like, wait a bit before we're seeing him at his best, and hopefully he can stay fit. But I just don't like some of the responses as if like it's his fault that he's picking up these injuries.
Yeah, it's just frustration bearing out. And you know what social media, you know what a place social media can be, so it's not exactly surprising. But yeah, I do agree. In terms of some transfer news, let's talk about Omar Marmoush. Obviously, we got the Here We Go yesterday from Fabrizio, but no other real journalists were jumping off the back of that, which was quite surprising. After Fabrizio reported it, you did expect like a David Ornstein tweet or something not long after, which didn't happen. Sam Tabitao says that he understands there is no deal in place yet between Manchester City and Tottenham for Omar Marmoush, despite reports. Sasha Tavaleri says, despite recent reports, all parties are very confident in completing the deal for Omar Marmoush to Tottenham. Last details are currently been finalised. SZY says that Spurs are waiting for the final green light from Manchester City. Paul O'Keefe says that Marmoush is in the capital, is in London, waiting for the final green light to complete his move from Manchester City. So it does seem like Fabrizio Romano might have jumped the gun a little bit on the Here We Go.
Not the first time.
Yeah.
And Plettenberg called him out He's actually been getting a tough ride, Romano, this summer window, because quite a few times a few here we goes haven't come to pass. A few times he's maybe called it way too early when actually the deal was still got a little bit of way to go. But usually when he says here we go, that deal, 90% of the time does happen. So you still got to be confident that we will be getting Omar Marmoush. He gave quite specific details of the deal as well. Loan with an obligation, 50 million obligation if certain criteria are met. I wonder what that criteria is. But I am confident it's going to happen. But maybe when you hear here we go, you think the deal is signed, sealed and delivered. All you're waiting for is the announcement. And it doesn't sound like we're at quite that stage maybe just yet.
Yeah.
But look, maybe. I mean, there were rumours yesterday that Spurs Egypt have been contacted and they're going to be part of the announcement, all these different things. So maybe this deal is imminent in terms of an announcement. But yeah, I think when it comes to Romano's here we go, they're getting less and less reliable. That is the truth. So you got to take that into account. But we also have to take into account Man City. When it comes to Savinho, they've obviously going to replace him with this Alan Giza from Palmeiras. But we haven't really heard yet of who they're looking to replace Marmoush with. So maybe we have to wait a little bit longer there. But then again, yesterday he didn't come on. And clearly, all the other attackers came off the bench, even Grealish, who a lot of people think he's set to leave. And they're 1-0 down, desperate to get back in the game. And they're not turning to Marmoush. So that goes to show how trusted he is from Maresca right now, I think.
Yeah, and as soon as the final whistle went, Fabrizio Romano tweeted it. So, yeah, maybe he just did jump the gun a bit. But in terms of the makeup of the deal, 50 million with an obligation to buy, like you mentioned, if certain criteria are met. What do you think about that deal? Because obviously, if we go for the loan deal, then he can't play against Manchester City next season.
Which isn't great.
So why have we gone for a loan with an obligation instead of just buying him straight out?
Guessing for financial reasons, you defer the 50 million to next season, and it gives you a little bit more headroom if we want to make another signing, aka Cody Gakpo for 70 million. Maybe that's what we're thinking. Is it because for Man City's reasoning? But you would think even if it's 50 million, that doesn't come into play when it comes to their 15% sell on for a profit. So I don't know if it's Man City or if it's Tottenham that are making this decision to defer it for a year. Maybe Tottenham have to want to make sure that these certain criteria are met. I don't know what criteria is. Maybe it's a certain amount of goals. Maybe it's Champions League football. Maybe we're worried we're committing all these funds, and if we don't get Europe or Champions League, then all of a sudden the finances are going to hit us a lot harder. So we don't have not a need, but we don't have. We're not forced to sign Marmoush if we maybe don't hit Champions League football. Maybe that is a less burden on our spending. But you'd think if he comes in and smashes it, even if we don't get Champions League, he's going to sign anyway. You would think.
Yeah, but I'm thinking about it. It's just like if the criteria are not met, and we don't take up this option to buy, and he doesn't end up being a Spurs player, we've paid 85 million. For Savinho.
Correct.
Which is just nuts. I think it's nuts. I think we need this deal to happen just to make that the 85 million seem a little more palatable.
Yeah, you would think so. I agree with that. And, Savinho for 85 or Savinho Marmoush for 135, I know which one is a better deal. I know one's a better deal.
Yeah, exactly.
But then again, if Marmoush does come in and isn't good, then you could say, you don't need to spend the 50 million on him if he hasn't obviously done it. But obviously we're more sure about Savinho. But 85 million is a bit crazy, isn't it? For Savinho.
It's absolutely nuts. So there is a situation that could unfold where Marmoush goes back to City next summer, and we've just signed Savinho for 85 million, which is terrible, to be honest. Really is.
Well, it depends how good he is.
Yeah, do you envisage by the end of the next season he's an £85 million player?
Probably not. Doesn't mean he won't be.
You won't find any other club in literally world football that would spend that amount of money on Savinho.
Yeah,
not even the Saudis.
But it seems as though we've been really sure about him.
Yeah,
and we really wanted him through the door, and we're prepared to maybe risk this deal being a bit inflated for Savinho just to make sure we get him. I don't know. It is a bit crazy if Marmoush doesn't end up happening, or if he goes back to City, and then all of a sudden you look at that financial situation like yeah, we have massively overspent on Savinho. I agree, but then again,
if that actually happens and we've signed Savinho for 85 million, I actually think that might be the biggest like overpayment in the history of football. That's how big it is.
Got more than Maguire for 80 million.
I mean, you can't really say till it's all said and done. I think Maguire's been decent for United. Like,
Yeah, but
obviously
80
80 million's a big overpayment, but I think it's on the same level, if not more. Like, Savinho's an attacking player and he scored 2 goals. Like, Maguire had a top season before he joined Man United. So, yeah, I do think it's probably the biggest overpayment in Premier League history.
Yeah, but it depends. Yeah, fair. But he might turn out to be a very good player for us.
Yeah, and I'm hoping he is. And look, don't get me wrong, I'm excited to see Savinho. I want to see him in a Spurs shirt. I just think like that deal for 85 million is just nuts, absolutely nuts. But anyway, we'll see how it all works out. Look, I don't think it's going to work out like that. I think Marmoush will end up signing as a Spurs player full time.
But if he comes in, Marmoush, and we don't get Champions League and he's a bit mid, then what would you rather just spend the extra 50 million just to make the other deal more palatable, or do you say you have to cut your losses? I guess you have to make that decision.
Well, you're probably going to have to cut your losses at the end of the day, but yeah, you'd kind of prefer it to be the other way around. Overpay on Marmoush and bring in Savinho on a loan with an obligation to buy. You'd probably prefer it that way around. Let's talk about Savinho then, because obviously we got the here we go days ago. SZY and Paul O'Keefe have both, well, SZY says he's completed his medical and has signed his Spurs contract, and Paul O'Keefe just confirming that he has completed his medical now. So, yeah, I guess we're just waiting for the Marmoush deal to happen so we can do a double announcement, I guess. That's the only hold-up.
I mean, seems to be the main evidence for these 2 deals definitely being tied together, because why hasn't Savinho been announced yet? When we've heard since, well, apparently there was even rumours on a Friday morning that we were rushing to get this medical done to get him in time for Brentford. Obviously, that was fanciful, but there was all this talk about Tottenham are wanting him for Brentford, and we're trying to rush this deal through. Didn't quite happen, but then why didn't we announce it after the Brentford game? Why didn't we announce it yesterday? Why is it Monday? At this rate, he's probably not even going to sign in time for the Wednesday game. So, what is the delay in this deal if everything is signed and delivered if it's not tied to Marmoush?
Well, it's 1,000,000% tied to Marmoush. That's exactly why. There's no other reason.
Well, you say that. I mean, I believe that, and you believe that, but I was reading some journalists yesterday saying they don't believe it is. And
which journalists?
It was the Footy Insider, but he did a video saying he strongly.
Graham Bailey.
No, it wasn't Graham, but I don't know who it was. But I was watching a video from him, and he said it's his strong belief that these 2 deals are not tied. Spurs have just been willing to pay 85 million for Savinho because, in the grand scheme of things, if they did add the 15% on for Marmoush, City are only saving about 1.5 million on that profit deal. So would they risk this whole thing for 1.5 million? That's kind of how he sees it. That's and he thinks they're not tied together. He thinks they're 2 completely separate deals, and they've just been happy to pay. And he thinks people just can't believe that Spurs have been willing to pay 85 million, but he thinks that is the truth. I don't think it is. I think the evidence is that we're waiting for this Savinho deal. I think it would have been signed if these 2 deals were not tied together.
Exactly.
But he thinks it isn't.
Yeah. Last but not least, Cody Gakpo obviously scored a stunning goal for Liverpool yesterday against Newcastle. 25, 30 yards out, daisy cutter into the bottom corner. Very kind of like un-Cody Gakpo goal. I haven't seen him. It was very central to the right area of the pitch where he's usually operating on the left. But a fantastic goal for Cody Gakpo in their 2-2 draw against Newcastle. SZY says he rates the chance of signing Cody Gakpo now as 50%. And Florian Plettenberg is saying that Liverpool is still planning to sign 2 or 3 more players before deadline day. Barcola and Minte remains top priorities for Liverpool at this stage. On Yankuba Minte, they've had 2 bids rejected. Apparently they are about to go in for a 3rd bid, believed to be around 65 to 70 million pounds. Yeah, I guess again, it's the same thing, waiting for Liverpool to get this business done. But it was Cody Gakpo scoring Liverpool's first goal of the season.
Yeah, it was a weird game for Gakpo. I was watching him quite closely, obviously, during the game, and he was probably Liverpool's biggest threat in the forward line. And obviously he got a brilliant goal. He was the one who kind of got them back in the game, and he was the one most likely for something to happen in that forward line. Rio wasn't doing it. Isaac seemed out of sorts. Verts flattered to deceive again. Gakpo was their best attacker on the day. So you look at it from that point of view, and is Iraola really going to sanction the guy who was probably on the day, the one who was most threatening, scored a brilliant goal as well. So it seems stupid in that sense to let him go, but ahead of the new season. But on the flip side, after he did score, he was majorly frustrating. I can understand kind of the frustrations Liverpool fans have, because there was a number of occasions where he had the ball in a dangerous position. He had some really good options, and he went for either a shot which was blocked or went over the bar, or there was a moment he went through one-on-one. All he had to do was finish it on his left foot, and he's so determined to get it back on his right. He cuts back inside, and the defender makes a tackle, and the chance was gone. And all he had to do, I don't know if he just doesn't rate his left foot, but all he had to do was finish it on his left foot, and that was a real big opportunity, and that was a 1-1 as well, and that obviously could have put them in the lead. So that was obviously a frustrating moment, and he seemed to really kind of make the wrong decisions after scoring that goal. So on that side as well, I can understand maybe all was looking like, yeah, he did score, but maybe we could have better attackers coming in who can make better decisions. So I can understand that front as well when it comes to Gakpo.
Some Liverpool fans on social media laying into Gakpo for his display yesterday, and I saw bits and pieces of the game. Obviously, I saw the goal, and they were questioning his, dedication to Liverpool as well in the game. They said he looked disinterested.
For me, he was their best attacker by far. Like, Verts was doing nothing. Isaac was completely nullified, and Rio was also not doing anything. Gakpo took 6 shots. He was the one trying to do something, and they were much more creative down his side when he was linking with Kirkes as well than they were on the right-hand side. So they can lay him in all they want, but he was much better than all their other attackers.
Yeah, they were saying, I've seen a few tweets, they're saying they were really weak down the left-hand side.
Well, they were much weaker down the right. That's my opinion.
Maybe they were just weak overall.
Yeah, they were. There wasn't a great performance from Liverpool, and they kind of got away with it, getting the draw, to be honest. But I thought they were much better down the left than they were down the right, and they were much more threatening.
Do you think it happens?
I don't know. I'm toing and froing on this deal. I think the likelihood is it doesn't. That's kind of my gut feeling. I think Iraola is going to want him for the season. That's kind of my gut feeling. But
it also depends how much money they actually spend in this last week. Like, if they go buy Barcola for 130, 140 million, whatever it is, they go and buy Yankuba Minte for 70 million, and even a third player for big money as well. Like, surely that opens the door for Gakpo.
If they get 3, then I think it's pretty certain he's going to come here, because I don't think they sign 3 attackers unless they're going to let him go. If it's just Barcola and Minte, I would say the likelihood is he comes, but it's still in the balance. If it's only 1, I don't think there's any chance he comes.
Well, we'll have to wait and see what happens. That is your Tottenham update for today. Let me know in the comments section below your thoughts about all the news stories that we have brought to you today.